You are listening to The Vocal Technologist. Spoken tech for your ears.
What if the most valuable skill for a tech professional was not knowing how to build a product or, write code or even design an interface, but simply having incredibly good taste? Just raw, unadulterated taste.
Well, it completely flips the engineering mindset we are so used to. I mean,
Yeah.
we have spent the last few decades prizing the builders, right?
Whoa, 100%. The people writing the algorithms or pushing the pixels.
Exactly. But when that building part becomes automated, the bottleneck shifts. It moves from creation to curation.
And as your resident vocal technologist, basically that mate who is slightly too obsessed with how software is built, I am telling you that is exactly where we are heading. We are going to look under the hood of the evolving tech and design world.
There's so much happening at once right now.
Heaps. Our mission for this exploration is to pull apart the overwhelming influx of new tools so you can actually understand the trends without feeling swamped.
Yeah, because we are looking at everything from the massive legal consequences of infinite scrolling to the hidden compute costs driving the AI wars.
And how all of this is forcing us to rethink the very definition of a designer. Because, let us be honest, the sheer velocity of pure creation tools flooding the market right now is staggering.
It really is. We are seeing platforms that let you conjure entire products out of thin air. But the hidden cost of all this speed is something we really need to unpack.
Oh, the speed is absolutely wild. Let us look at Adobe Illustrator, for example. They have this turntable feature now.
Right, the three-dimensional rotation tool.
Yes. It lets creators instantly rotate two-dimensional vectors in three-dimensional space. You literally draw a flat character, and boom, you can spin it around to see its back.
Which is wild because it reduces hours of tedious animation work down to, seconds?
Literally seconds. Or look at Figma. They are expanding their AI image tools right into FigJam and Slides, so you can generate and refine visuals live during a brainstorming session.
And then you have Adobe Firefly rolling out custom models. That lets creatives train the AI on their own specific work to keep everything on brand.
Yeah, and the mechanism behind those custom models is fascinating.
It tackles the fundamental flaw with early generative tools, which was the total inability to maintain a consistent style across different outputs.
Right, you would generate 3 images, and they all look like they came from different planets.
Spot on. So by feeding a closed loop of specific assets into the model, it restricts the AI from pulling in random aesthetic choices from its broader training data.
Right, but here's the part that genuinely makes me laugh out loud. Adobe is claiming this algorithm will preserve the unique soul of your work.
The unique soul.
The unique soul, as if a piece of server code calculating pixel probabilities is going to capture the essence of human creativity. It is deeply amusing.
It is definitely a bold marketing claim.
Treating raw AI outputs as finished work is like serving raw instant noodles at a dinner party. I mean, sure, it is incredibly fast, and technically it is food, but it is deeply unsatisfying, and your guests are going to leave very confused.
Your instant noodle analogy actually hits on a critical structural issue. Those noodles are pure efficiency without the necessary human preparation.
Exactly. They need boiling water and flavor,
Right. And what we are seeing is the rise of what we might call ultra-processed creativity. When efficiency and certainty replace, meaning you get a lot of high-volume, low-value output.
So how do we avoid that?
Well, the philosophical stance we need to adopt is that craft is untouchable. The tool changes, just like the synthesizer changed music, but the underlying judgment does not. Taste is not a feature you can just toggle on in a settings menu.
So the real differentiator is the human incubation phase, that critical judgment of knowing what is actually good and what is just static.
Yes.
But why is the AI so bad at making those final tasteful decisions on its own?
That brings us to a concept known as the inversion error. Let us break down how AI actually processes information right now.
Okay, let us get into it.
AI systems excel at symbolic tasks. They understand the mathematical relationship between words, or they can recombine image patterns based on tags, but they lack embodied spatial reasoning.
Meaning they do not actually understand what they are making.
Precisely. Imagine someone who has memorized a map of a city perfectly.
Right.
They know the names of all the streets and the distances between them. That is symbolic logic. But they have never actually walked those streets.
Ah, I see.
They do not know that a particular hill is too steep to climb, or that a certain alleyway feels unsafe at night.
Mm-hmm.
That physical experience is spatial reasoning.
So the inversion error happens when we treat the AI as the teacher.
Exactly. When we treat it as the more knowledgeable other in the collaboration, assuming it understands the physical reality of the interface it is building, that is fundamentally backward.
So we are handing the steering wheel to the learner, a
Yeah.
learner with no physical body, expecting it to know how to navigate the city for human beings.
Yes. And because of that, designers must now act as architects of constraints.
Architects of constraints, I like that.
Instead of just giving an AI a vague prompt and hoping for the best, human professionals need to define the physical, spatial, and conceptual parameters of a problem before the AI generates anything at all. You are setting the boundaries.
Which leads to a massive question for anyone building digital products right now. If pure pixel pushing is being automated by AI, who actually owns the design?
It is a huge gray area.
And what happens when those automated designs inevitably break? Because we are seeing the rapid rise of things like vibe coding and GenUI.
Yeah, vibe coding exists on a very interesting spectrum. Platforms like Lovable are seeing massive valuations, reportedly around $6.6 billion.
Wait, 6.6 billion just for vibe coding.
Yes, simply by letting users generate apps through vibe coding.
For those listening who have not tried it, vibe coding is exactly what it sounds like. You give the system a general feeling or a vague prompt, and it builds the software. Lovable is seeing over 200,000 new projects created every single day using this method.
And then GenUI goes a step further.
Oh, GenUI is wild.
Instead of just generating an app based on a prompt, GenUI dynamically makes design decisions for users before they even ask.
Right.
It looks at user context, maybe your location or your past behavior, and dynamically assembles an interface on the fly from a library of components.
Let me push back on the hype here, though. To me, vibe coding is like getting into a taxi and just saying, take me somewhere fun.
Right.
You might end up at a brilliant beach, or you might end up in a sketchy alleyway. GenUI, on the other hand, is the taxi showing up at your door already running before you even realized you wanted to leave the house.
That is a very accurate way to put it.
I am genuinely skeptical about whether a system lacking spatial reasoning can anticipate human needs like that without creating absolute chaos.
The mechanics of how these systems operate make your skepticism totally valid. When an AI dynamically assembles an interface on the fly without human oversight, we run into the mounting danger of design debt.
Okay, we know technical debt in software, where writing messy code now means you have to fix it later, so design debt is the same concept.
Design debt is now just as dangerous, because poor AI-generated design choices can distort user beliefs and quietly compound over time.
How so? Give me an example.
If the AI decides to hide a privacy toggle because it thinks the user wants a cleaner interface, no human designer is auditing the logic behind that interface. The debt piles up invisibly.
A prime example of unforeseen design debt, even with human oversight, is the Apple Music interface update.
Oh, the dark mode issue.
Yeah. In iOS 26.4, they updated the app so the background interface dynamically adapts to match the colors of the album art you are playing.
Which sounds beautiful in theory.
Sounds beautiful, right? But it created a literal flash bang effect for dark mode users at night. You are lying in bed, listening to a relaxing acoustic track with a bright white album cover, and suddenly your phone screen is blinding you.
It is a terrible user experience.
Users had to dive into accessibility settings just to increase contrast and darken the screen.
That situation perfectly illustrates what happens when design decisions, automated or not, lack holistic human oversight. The system prioritized aesthetic matching over physical human context.
Yeah, they forgot about the human holding the glowing rectangle in a dark room.
Exactly. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, it highlights a severe business literacy gap in design leadership.
What do you mean by business literacy gap?
With user interface production increasingly automated by things like vibe coding and GenUI, the value of a designer who only knows how to make things look pretty drops to zero.
So pure visuals are commoditized.
Yes, we are seeing the necessary return of the generalist designer. Because AI is commoditizing the creation of the interface itself, the only remaining human value is understanding how that interface impacts the broader business.
Like database performance and the profit margin.
Exactly. The engineering architecture, the core metrics, they need to understand the whole board, not just the front-end visuals.
They need cross-functional literacy.
Yes, and this is why design systems are so critical right now. A design system cannot just be a visual sticker book anymore. It requires machine-readable layers so that AI agents actually understand the reasoning behind components.
So the AI knows why it is using a button, not just what the button looks like.
Right. And AI needs an index of relationships and metadata explaining when and why to use a specific red warning button, rather than just knowing what shade of red it is. Designers must evolve to orchestrate entire systems.
Acting as the governing layer that keeps AI-generated code consistent.
Precisely.
Okay, let us pull this apart further. As the role of the creator shifts from pixel pusher to system orchestrator, the ethical responsibility of what those systems actually do to human beings becomes the most urgent issue.
It really does. We are seeing a massive reckoning in social media design right now.
Oh, straight up. A jury in Los Angeles literally held Meta and YouTube liable for engineering addiction that harmed a young user.
From a structural standpoint, this is a monumental shift. For years, tech companies hid behind the idea that they were just platforms.
Just neutral pipes delivering content.
Right. The design choices were framed as neutral tools.
I have to admit, I was genuinely surprised by the legal mechanics of this ruling. Seeing a digital feature like infinite scroll or autoplay being legally treated like a defective physical product is massive.
It changes everything.
It means the courts are recognizing that these interfaces are intentionally designed to hijack human attention. They are no longer neutral tools, they are intentional harms.
The ruling fundamentally challenges the industry reliance on pure engagement metrics. If a feature that keeps a user on screen for 3 hours is now a legal liability, companies have to rethink their entire metric structure.
Which is probably a good thing.
It is. We are starting to see a vital shift toward interfaces that prioritize user well-being.
A great example of this from the research is the Fitbit app redesign. Have you seen this?
Yes, the new metrics they introduced.
Yeah, they dropped their paywall for free users and introduced a metric specifically called resilience to track holistic health.
Which is a huge departure from the old model.
Exactly. Instead of just aggressively pushing people to hit arbitrary daily step targets, which, let us be honest, can actually be demoralizing if you are sick or resting, they are measuring recovery and stress.
It represents a shift from maximizing output to optimizing sustainability.
Right.
But the legal scrutiny on design is not just about screen time and addiction.
No, it is not.
We also have the legal dangers of greenwashing in visual design. Regulators are now actively targeting misleading visual impressions.
Oh, this one is fascinating to me. If you use rustic typography, craft-style packaging, nature imagery, or earthy green colors to falsely imply your product is sustainable, that carries major legal weight now.
The mechanism here is purely psychological. Regulators have realized that human brains process visual color and texture far faster than written text.
Right, you see green and brown and you instantly think eco-friendly.
Exactly. A rustic brown background bypasses rational reading and immediately triggers an emotional association with natural materials. So the overall visual impression is now treated with the same legal scrutiny as explicit written claims.
Which, yeah, is exactly as terrifying as it sounds for marketing teams, because apparently slapping a picture of a leaf on a plastic bottle is where the law finally draws a line.
It forces a level of honesty that has been entirely missing from a lot of branding. And this ethical shift extends into how we build for everyone.
Oh, you mean accessibility?
Yes. Accessibility is finally being treated as a creative driver, not just a tedious compliance checklist.
We're seeing a push for Braille-first devices, right? Things that rely on haptic feedback and touch as primary interaction tools.
Exactly. Moving beyond just visual interfaces.
But waiting for massive corporations to care about accessibility can take forever. Which is why I love this underground movement of developers acting as smugglers and hackers.
Smugglers and hackers, in what sense?
They're literally sneaking accessibility fixes into code bases without even asking management for permission. They just do it.
Oh, wow. Like what?
For instance, they are using Figma variables to ensure fonts scale up 200% perfectly.
For the listeners who might not work in design files all day, how do those variables actually work mechanically?
Basically, instead of a developer hard-coding a font size to be exactly 16 pixels, they use a variable that sets up relative math.
So it adapts based on the user settings.
Spot on. It tells the system how the text should relate to the screen size. So when a visually impaired user bumps up their system font settings, the entire layout gracefully scales up rather than breaking or overlapping text.
That is brilliant.
It ensures the product meets the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, specifically the mandatory AA criterion. And this matters because did you know that 26% of mobile users actually increase their device default font size?
26%. That is a massive chunk of the user base.
Right. There's a profound lesson in that smuggler approach. Waiting for permission to do the right thing often means it never gets done.
The tech world suffers from widespread ableism. often blaming barriers on the users rather than the rigid architecture of the product.
Oh, absolutely. It is always user error, right? Never the product.
Exactly. But by setting up structured auto layouts and variables, these developers prove that you can embed ethical user well-being directly into the daily workflow. They are driving change from the ground up.
So we have these automated systems churning out content, and we have developers trying to inject humanity back into the code. It feels like a tug of war.
It is. To fight the sterile, ultra-processed nature of automated tech, we were seeing brands desperately seeking human warmth. Meanwhile, the massive hardware companies are just fighting over the cold, hard infrastructure that makes this all possible.
The contrast between the consumer-facing layer and the infrastructure layer is striking right now.
On the brand side, there is a firm rejection of the AI aesthetic monoculture. Brands are leaning heavily into human-centric design to build trust.
Take the Los Angeles Olympics branding. Have you seen the Super Bloom stuff?
Yes, it is stunning.
They use local flora and custom typefaces to create a central Super Bloom concept that feels vibrant, diverse, and distinctly human.
Or Barkhouse, the luxury dog hotel in New York.
Oh, I love that one.
They completely avoided the usual shiny, sterile pet care visuals. Instead, they went with expressive, hand-drawn illustrations based on real dogs. It feels warm and whimsical.
And then you have Sunday, a robotics brand. Their whole identity focuses on calm simplicity.
Right, because they're selling robots.
Exactly. They want to build trust with users who might be intimidated by having an automated robot wandering around their house. So they use playful precision to make it feel approachable.
These brands are going out of their way to prove that human hands were involved in the creation process. They're signaling authenticity.
But the infrastructure powering the digital side of our lives is moving toward massive, unforgiving automation.
Right.
And while we are talking about digital infrastructure, we have to talk about the site search paradox. Have you noticed that internal website searches almost always fail?
It is a notorious frustration.
Yeah.
I mean, you search for a product on a specific company's site and get 0 results, even if you know they sell it.
Exactly. And the reason why is that internal search engines usually demand absolute precision from the user. They rely on exact string matching.
So if there is a typo, it breaks.
Yep. If you type sneaker, but the database only has the plural sneakers with an S, it breaks. It pushes users to abandon the site entirely and rely on Google.
Because Google actually understands context.
Right. Google uses semantic search, meaning it understands the relationship between words and human intent.
Which highlights how a rigid system fails when it encounters human imprecision.
Which is why we all just type /: into Google.
Yeah.
Because relying on a website internal search is exactly as terrifying and useless as it sounds. We just bypass their infrastructure completely.
It proves that raw computing power is not enough if the architecture does not understand human behavior.
Speaking of raw computing power, the hardware and platform shifts happening right now are immense.
Huge. Apple has officially discontinued the iconic Mac Pro Tower workstation.
The era of the upgradable cheese grater tower is over.
It is over.
Right.
They are dropping it in favor of the integrated Mac Studio. They're prioritizing efficient, unified hardware over modular expandability.
And that massive compute power is desperately needed for the video generation wars, which, frankly, are reshaping the entire tech industry.
The video wars are fascinating because of the sheer economics involved. Did you see that OpenAI actually retreated from video generation completely?
Wait, really? They backed out?
Yeah, they shut down their Sora app because the massive compute costs were just too high to sustain.
Oh, wow.
Generating video requires massive GPU rendering per frame, and they have to pay for server time while acquiring users to pay for it. So they pivoted back to enterprise software.
But on the other side, you have Elon Musk taking XAI and Grok all in on video generation.
Right.
And the mechanics of why Musk can do this while OpenAI cannot is all about distribution. Musk can afford the staggering inference costs of generating video because it is subsidized by the built-in distribution on X.
Oh, that makes sense.
He already has millions of users doom scrolling, so his user acquisition and distribution cost is basically zero. That offsets the massive compute burn.
And meanwhile, Google is pushing forward with VioLite for high-volume video applications. They are optimizing for speed over absolute fidelity.
And they are launching Gemini audio models specifically designed for customer service automation, right?
Yes. The Gemini model even detects user emotions from voice tone.
That is a bit creepy, but okay.
It scored over 90% on benchmarks for emotion detection, while Cohere launched a transcription model with an incredibly low word error rate.
So if we look at the whole board, the contrast is absolutely incredible.
It really is two different worlds.
While big tech companies fight over massive compute power, server farm data centers, and rendering dominance to automate everything, the most successful consumer brands are moving in the exact opposite direction.
Yep.
They are prioritizing warmth, charm, and hand-drawn traditional illustration just to prove to their customers that they are still human.
It is the ultimate tension of this era. The tools are getting colder and more capable, while the audience is craving warmth and authenticity.
Okay, let us bring this all together. We have pulled apart a massive amount of information today, from the absolute necessity of human taste and spatial reasoning to the hidden dangers of automated design debt and the massive server costs of the video wars.
We covered a lot of ground.
We did. But I want to leave you with one final provocative thought to ponder. If good product design is supposed to earn our trust instantly by showing its true, honest function, how will we ever truly trust an interface that an AI generates on the fly just to please us?
If the interface is just a temporary illusion generated by GenUI, the concept of a shared digital reality starts to fracture entirely.
It really does. As your vocal technologist, I am always here to help you navigate this fast-paced tech world. But your own taste and critical judgment are the only things that will keep you grounded when the software starts building itself. Keep exploring, keep questioning, and whatever you do, never settle for the raw, instant noodles of the digital world.
Spoken Tech for your ears.